There is a sound you hear exactly once before you understand it. It is the sound of a faucet turned to full and nothing coming out. Just air in the pipes, a sputter, then silence. If you have heard it during a storm, during a regional boil water notice, during one of those 48-hour windows, when the infrastructure reminded you it is not a promise, you already know what that silence weighs. You stood there with your hand on the handle and you realized, in about 2 seconds, that you did not know how much water was in your house. Not in bottles, not in reserves. You did not know the number. And in that moment, the faucet was teaching you something your grandmother never had to learn from a faucet, because she already knew. By the time we are done here, you will know 3 things: where the water in your house already is, and how to get to it. How to make questionable water safe without electricity. And the one medication interaction with the most popular water purification tablet in America that almost nobody in this space ever mentions. And that might matter more to you than anything else you hear today. Let us start with a number: 28 gallons. That is what FEMA recommends for 2 people for 2 weeks. 1 gallon per person per day, 14 days. It is a reasonable baseline. It is also heavy. Water weighs 8.34 pounds per gallon. 28 gallons comes to about 233 pounds. You are not carrying that anywhere. You are not buying it at the store the morning a hurricane warning drops because the shelves are empty 4 hours after the first TV graphic appears. You are not loading it into your car. 233 pounds lives where you put it, weeks or months before you need it. So the first question is not how much. The first question is where. And here is the part most people have never considered. You probably have 40 to 50 gallons of drinkable water in your house right now. It is sitting in your garage or your utility closet or your basement, doing its job quietly. It is your hot water heater. A standard residential tank-type water heater holds 40, 50, or 80 gallons of water that has been heated and maintained at temperature continuously. That water came in through your municipal supply. It is potable. It has been sitting in a glass-lined steel tank, and it is yours. For a 2-person household, a 50-gallon tank is a 25-day supply at minimum consumption. 25 days. Most dedicated preppers have not stored that much, and they spent real money doing it. Yours came with the house. Now, you cannot just walk over and start pouring. There is a procedure, and it matters. The moment you know or suspect your municipal water supply has been compromised, contaminated, or shut off, you go to that water heater and do 4 things in order. First, close the cold water inlet valve at the top of the unit. This stops any contaminated water from the municipal line from flowing in and mixing with the clean water already in the tank. Second, turn off the gas or the electricity to the heater. You do not want the unit trying to heat an empty or draining tank. A gas water heater, dry firing, is a fire risk. An electric one burns out the elements. Third, let the water cool. Your heater maintains water between 120 and 140 degrees. That will scald you. Give it time. Fourth, open the drain valve at the bottom of the tank and collect. Open a hot water faucet somewhere else in the house to break the vacuum so the tank drains freely. Here is what you should expect. If you have never flushed your water heater, and most people haven't, the first gallon or 2 out of that drain valve is going to look cloudy. Sediment, calcium carbonate, minerals, the accumulation of years of heated water depositing its contents at the bottom of the tank. It is not toxic. Let it settle in a jar, pour off the clear water on top, or run it through a cloth. After that first bit, the water runs clear. The American Red Cross includes this technique in their official emergency water guidance. This is not fringe knowledge. It is standard preparedness. It has just never been explained to most people in plain language. One thing to check. If your home has a tankless water heater, the kind that heats on demand with no storage tank, you do not have this reservoir. They have gotten popular in the last 15 years, but the majority of homes owned by people over 45 still have tank-type heaters. Walk into your garage or utility closet and look. If there is a large cylindrical tank in there, that is your first emergency water supply, and it is already full. Your grandmother did not call this prepping. She called it knowing what was in her house. Now let us talk about the number FEMA gives you and why it might not be enough for you specifically. 1 gallon per person per day is a baseline for a healthy adult in a temperate climate doing minimal physical activity. It accounts for drinking, basic food preparation, and minimal sanitation. The national academies set adequate fluid intake at roughly 3.7 liters per day for men and 2.7 for women, from all sources, including food moisture. During an emergency, the food you are eating is dry. Shelf-stable crackers, canned goods, dried rice, jerky. The moisture you normally get from fresh food disappears. Meanwhile, stress increases your metabolic demand. If you are clearing debris, boarding a window, walking to a distribution point, or just sitting in a house without air conditioning in August, you are losing water faster. And here is where it gets personal. If you are over 50 and if you take a blood pressure medication, your water math changes. Hydrochlorothiazide is one of the most commonly prescribed blood pressure medications in the country. It is a thiazide diuretic. It works by telling your kidneys to release more water. That is how it lowers your blood pressure. A standard dose increases your daily urine output by roughly a pint to a quart beyond normal. Furosemide, which many people know by its older name, is a loop diuretic. It is more aggressive. A single dose can push an extra liter or 2 of fluid out in 6 hours. Metformin, the most widely prescribed diabetes medication in America, is not technically a diuretic, but it increases fluid loss through the gut and compounds the effect if you are on other medications. If you are on any of these, 1 gallon a day is not enough. The Wilderness Medical Society's guidance on hydration, adapted for this situation, suggests 1.25 to 1.5 gallons per person per day for adults on diuretic class medications. For 2 people over 14 days, that takes your storage need from 28 gallons up to 35 or even 42. That is 292 to 350 pounds of water. Talk to your pharmacist. Before any emergency, not during one. Ask them, given what I take, how much water should I plan for daily if I cannot get to a store or a tap for 2 weeks? They will give you a number. Write it down. That number is your actual planning figure, not the generic one on the website. So where does 35 to 42 gallons fit in a house that is already full of living? The answer is distribution. You do not store it in one place. You store it in 5 or 6 places, in containers sized to fit spaces you are not using. Under beds, bottom of a bedroom closet, a garage shelf, the floor of a laundry room, a basement wall. Food-grade containers in the 3.5 to 7 gallon range weigh between 29 and 58 pounds each. 8 containers at 3.5 gallons give you 28 gallons distributed across your house in units light enough to lift and carry. They slide under a bed. They stack in a closet corner. They sit on a garage shelf next to the paint cans and the holiday decorations. 233 pounds in one place is an engineering problem. That same weight in 8 places is invisible. Use containers made from high-density polyethylene, the plastic marked with a recycling number 2 on the bottom. It is FDA approved for food contact. Do not reuse milk jugs. The residual milk proteins promote bacterial growth, even in containers you think you have cleaned thoroughly. Do not use containers that ever held chemicals. A clean food-grade container, tap water, and if your municipal supply is not already chlorinated, 1/8 teaspoon of plain unscented household bleach per gallon as a preservative. Date every container. Rotate every 6 months. Use the old water on your garden or for cleaning and refill. Water does not expire. Commercially bottled water has no FDA-mandated expiration date. Those dates printed on the bottles are voluntary, related to taste and packaging integrity, not safety. Water itself, sealed in a clean container, does not go bad. But 6-month rotation is good practice because it keeps you in the habit of checking your supply, and it prevents the mild taste changes that come from long storage in plastic. Now, you have your hot water heater as a reserve. You have distributed storage for your planned supply. But what if you need more? What if the event runs longer than you planned? Or you are helping neighbors? Or the municipal supply is contaminated rather than simply off? You need to be able to make water safe. And you need to be able to do it without electricity. There are 3 ways: boiling, chemical treatment, and filtration. Each has a place, and each has a limit. Boiling is the oldest and most reliable. The CDC says bring water to a rolling boil for 1 minute. If you are above 6,500 feet elevation, make it 3 minutes. Boiling kills bacteria, viruses, and protozoan cysts, all of them. It is universally effective against biological contamination. The limitation is fuel. You need a heat source. In a prolonged outage, fuel may be the resource you are rationing most carefully. Boiling also does nothing about chemical contamination, dissolved metals, or particulates. But for biological safety, it is the standard. Chemical treatment with household bleach is the method that costs you almost nothing and is probably already under your kitchen sink. The EPA guideline is 8 drops of plain, unscented household bleach per gallon of clear water. Let it stand 30 minutes. You should be able to detect a faint chlorine smell. If you cannot, repeat the dose and wait another 15 minutes. Bleach is effective against bacteria and most viruses. It does not reliably kill Cryptosporidium, which is chlorine-resistant, but for most municipal water emergency scenarios in the U.S., it covers the realistic threat. The beauty of bleach is that it has no significant medication interactions. If iodine is off the table for you, and we are about to talk about why it might be, bleach is your fallback. A $4 bottle is enough to treat hundreds of gallons. You already own it. A gravity filter using a hollow fiber membrane with a 0.1 micron pore size is the third option, and it is the one that requires no fuel, no chemicals, and no electricity. You hang a bag of questionable water from a hook, a tree branch, a cabinet handle. Gravity pulls it through the membrane. What comes out the other side has had 99.99% of bacteria and 99.99999% of protozoa physically removed. The membrane pores are too small for them to pass through. These filters run in the $25 to $40 range. They weigh almost nothing. They process water slowly but continuously. Here is what a gravity filter does not do, and this matters. It does not remove viruses. Viruses are smaller than 0.1 microns. Norovirus is about 0.027 microns. It passes right through. For most U.S. emergency scenarios, bacteria and protozoa are the primary concern in compromised tap water. But if floodwater has mixed with sewage, viral contamination becomes real, and you need chemical treatment or boiling as a second step after filtering. Filter first to remove sediment and biological organisms, then treat chemically or boil for viruses. Belt and suspenders. That is how you stay safe. And now the part that no prepper channel talks about, and the part that might be the most important thing you hear today. Iodine water purification tablets are one of the most recommended chemical treatment methods in the outdoor, camping, and preparedness world. They work. They kill bacteria and most viruses effectively. They are lightweight, portable, and have a long shelf life. Every bug-out bag checklist includes them. Every survival video recommends them. Almost none of them mention that iodine is contraindicated for a significant portion of the adult population over 45. Iodine directly affects thyroid function. If you have hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease, thyroid nodules, or if you are taking levothyroxine, and levothyroxine is one of the most prescribed medications in the United States, with over 100 million prescriptions per year. Extended use of iodine-treated water can destabilize your thyroid medication dosing. A few days at standard purification concentrations is generally tolerable. Weeks of it is a medical risk. The American Thyroid Association has issued guidance on this. The FDA drug label for levothyroxine lists iodine interactions. If you are on lithium, prescribed for bipolar disorder, iodine compounds the thyroid effects. If you have documented iodine sensitivity. If you have chronic kidney disease and reduced ability to clear excess iodine. These are not rare conditions. These are not edge cases. These are common medications taken by millions of Americans in precisely the age group most likely to be watching this and most likely to be preparing seriously. The answer is not to panic. The answer is to know which purification method is safe for you before you need it. If iodine is off the table, bleach works. A gravity filter works. Boiling works. You have 3 perfectly effective alternatives. But you need to make that decision now, in your kitchen, with your medication bottles in front of you and your pharmacist on the phone. Not in the dark, with the water out, reading the back of a tablet package by flashlight. That conversation with your pharmacist is worth more than any piece of gear you could buy. There is one more source of water worth mentioning, and it falls from the sky. Rainwater collection is legal in most of the United States, though the specifics vary state by state in ways that surprise people. Texas actively encourages it and offers a sales tax exemption on collection equipment. Colorado prohibited it entirely until 2016 and now allows up to 110 gallons in 2 rain barrels for outdoor use only. Utah allows up to 2,500 gallons with registration. Most Midwestern and Eastern states have no specific statute at all, which defaults to legal. The laws change. Check your current state and local regulations before you set up a system. The National Conference of State Legislatures maintains the most current comparison. The practical math is encouraging. 1,000 square feet of roof surface collects roughly 623 gallons per inch of rainfall. In regions with 30 or more inches of annual rain, even a single barrel at a downspout fills quickly and fills often. But rainwater off a residential roof is not drinkable as collected. Bird droppings carry salmonella and E. coli. Asphalt shingles leach compounds you do not want to ingest. Pollen, insect debris, atmospheric particulates all wash down. A first flush diverter, which routes the initial dirty flow away from your collection barrel, is the first step. Filtration and chemical treatment after that. The same gravity filter and bleach protocol that works for any other questionable water source works here. Collect, divert the first flush, filter, treat. Then it is yours. If you walk into your kitchen right now and open the cabinet under the sink, you are probably looking at a bottle of bleach that can purify hundreds of gallons of water. If you walk into your garage or your utility room, you are probably standing 6 feet from a 40 to 50-gallon tank of drinkable water you have never thought about. If you open your medicine cabinet and see a blood pressure prescription or a thyroid medication, You now know something about your water needs and your purification options that you did not know 20 minutes ago. Here is what you can do this weekend. Go look at your water heater. Find the inlet valve at the top and the drain valve at the bottom. Know where they are. Know how to close one and open the other. You do not have to drain it now. You just have to know. Second, buy 4 or 6 food-grade containers in the 3.5 to 5 gallon range. Fill them from the tap, add a drop of bleach to each gallon, date them, and slide them under a bed or into a closet. That is your baseline. Third, call your pharmacist. Tell them you are putting together a household emergency water plan and you want to know if any of your medications affect how much water you need daily or whether iodine-based water purification is safe for you. They will know the answer. Write it down and tape it inside your medicine cabinet. That is the whole plan. A water heater you already own. A bottle of bleach you already have. A few containers you can pick up for less than the cost of dinner out. And 1 phone call. Your great-grandmother kept a rain barrel at the corner of the house and a full kettle on the stove, and she knew, without anyone teaching her from a screen, that water was the thing you did not run out of. She was not a prepper. She was a woman who understood what a house needed to keep the people inside it safe. The knowledge was ordinary. It was so ordinary that a whole generation managed to forget it, and now we have to relearn it from federal agency websites and call it emergency preparedness. It is not emergency preparedness. It is just knowing what is in your house and what your body needs. The storm you plan for is the one you barely notice. And the first thing a full water supply gives you is not water. It is calm. If this is the kind of knowledge you came here for, practical, tested, no fear, and no sales pitch, subscribe. There is more of this to come.